Hi, I'm Paula from Paula's DIY Decor and welcome to my channel. I'm the crafter from Down Under and today I'd like to share with you 3 beautiful coastal high-end DIYs. For my first DIY, I'd like to share with you how I made this beautiful coastal shell beach wreath. My inspiration for this beach wreath came from Pinterest. Here's the photo on the right hand side, and I just did my best to dupe it. So I just used some deco foam wreath shape form, some jute twine, some white marine cord, some shells that I just ran down to the beach. I don't live very far from the beach, and I picked out as many little shells and large shells that I could find that would match my wreath form. But if you can't find any shells locally, you can pop down to your discount store or your local craft store and you can pick up beautiful shells and of course some starfish like the one I just showed you from a discount store. So I started with my wreath form and I marked it out in 2 quarters. I simply marked an X shape where I would do 2 quarters in the jute form, the jute rope, and 2 quarters in the white marine cord. So just using my hot glue gun, I just then started to glue down the jute twine on the back of the wreath form. I did use some paper to help me stick it down. It can get very hot and you've got to be really careful not to burn your fingers. If you've got some of those little acrylic or plastic finger protectors, by all means use those. I don't have any, so I just used some paper to glue down the jute twine. And then once I had wrapped around the twine over and over to the ring, I did find that it started to I started to lose space at the bottom of the ring versus the top of the ring. So I created this sort of crisscross pattern to just cover up the leftover space that I had around the wreath form. So once I had done 2 quarters with my jute twine, I then took my white marine cord or cotton cord as you might find it in your crafting store. And then again, I started to twist it around and working from the left side and then working on the right hand side. I filled out the middle using a cute little sort of triangular pattern just to fill out those leftover little gaps on the wreath. And then this is where I started to have loads of fun. Honestly, your creativity is endless here. I just used the shells that I picked up from my local beach and I started to hot glue them down to where the white cord matched up with the jute twine and created a lovely little it's almost like a floral pattern but with shells, and I thought it turned out so pretty and had so much fun coordinating the colours and the shapes. I started with the round shells and then the longer shells, and then I finished off decorating all of the little holes that I might have left in between those shells with some of these beautiful star-shaped gorgeous shells. And I thought this part of the wreath turned out absolutely gorgeous. So to make the sailboat, I picked up some of this driftwood whilst I was at the beach, and I just using my drill made a little hole, and then using a dowel that I had on hand, I just hot glued the hole, popped some hot glue into the hole and then popped that dowel into the centre to create the mast of my little sailing ship. And then using a shish kebab stick or a a shish kebab stick. I then cut that down to size, and then I also hot glued the little stick at the bottom, or just resting on top of the driftwood, and using some of this lovely burlap, I guess it's burlap material that I had on hand as well. I just cut a triangular shape in the shape of a sail, and I hot glued it down to the dowel and also the bottom of that shish kebab stick. And then I had some white felt paper, I guess, and I cut that down also into a triangular shape to make another sail, and then hot glued that also to the left hand side of my sailboat. And to give it a little bit of extra sort of something, I used some of my cream yarn, and I cut a little hole at the base of the white felt sail and tied that yarn as if it was a bit of rope or a bit of jib that was attached to the bottom of my beautiful driftwood sailboat. Then I wanted to make a sailing banner or some sailing flags. So using some of that yarn, I just measured it out and then hot glued it to the sailboat onto one of the little sails, and then made a little banner using a repeat of the white felt and the beautiful burlap paper, cut it into some banner shapes and hot glued it down to that yarn. And once I was done, again using my hot glue, I firmly secured the little sailing boat to the centre of this beach decor wreath, and then over secured it on the opposite side so that sailing boat wouldn't go anywhere. And doesn't it look? It looks so incredibly cute. I had so much fun making this DIY. I can't tell you. I really enjoyed it. Now these larger shells, I found those in a homeware store. Actually, I bought them for 50 cents each. So the beautiful clam looking shell and that white sort of opal, that white iridescent shell, those two shells, that cost me 50 cents each, and I mixed it in with some of the shells that I picked up from the beach and continued to use my hot glue and arrange them all at the bottom of the wreath. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I love to make home decor, seasonal decor, and beautiful tablescapes. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by again and leaving me those beautiful comments. I do get so inspired by each and every one of you, and I just am always blown away by just how generous and kind our crafting community is. It really does bring joy to my life, as I'm sure it brings you some joy as well. Now don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and hit that bell so that you can be alerted every time I upload a video. So to secure a hanging device, I just used some more white marine cord and some white felt to keep the hanging device in place. And I also went back and tidied up some of those messy paper bits as well, got rid of those. So it was a nice clean project. So here it is, a beautiful high-end coastal beach wreath. I think it turned out so pretty. I absolutely loved making this DIY. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments below if you plan to repeat this DIY. But a beautiful high-end looking coastal beach wreath that you can have hanging in your home all year round. So for my next DIY, I'd like to share with you how I made this gorgeous coastal decorative clay bowl. Now my idea here was to replicate a beautiful shell in an oversized shape so that I could use it to store jewellery or beautiful decorations. Now you're going to need some air dry clay and you're going to need a rounded bowl. Now you can pick up air dry clay in any craft store. I picked up mine in a hardware store actually, which has started to stock some crafting gear. So using a rolling pin, I just used a candle as my rolling pin. You're just going to roll out this air dry clay, and then using a shish kebab stick, you're just going to press down and make indents into the clay to make it look like it is like a clam shell. And then once you've made all of those indents, you're then going to pick up your clay and you're going to lay it over your bowl, and that way you start to get those beautiful folds, very similar to a shell that you might pick up at the beach, an oversized shell, and it might need a little bit of coaxing like I am here, but really once you fold it over, you just follow the natural curves of the folds and let that dry. So once it was dry, it turned out absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I then used some of my normal white paint. It's just some house paint, but you can use chalk paint. And then I went over it with some pearl white paint, acrylic paint. Now I had this pearl paint in my stash. Again, you can pick it up in your local craft store. And then this is where I started to get really, really excited with this design. If you have a gold marker, I just had a gold paint marker, but sometimes you can pick up a gold paint pen. I didn't have it, so I just used this Crayola gold pen, and I went around the edge of this beautiful bowl and gave it that lovely golden sheen. And then I thought I'd step it up one more notch, and then I decided to draw gold lines in between each of the indents so that it looked like a normal shell that you would pick up at the beach, a big beautiful Bahamas type of coastal beach, and look at this, it just looks so pretty with the gold glistening in the light and reflecting in the light and that beautiful pearlescence paint. And I loved the ragged edges. Some of the clay did break off at the back, but I actually think that added character. And then it turned out to be a beautiful, nice, oversized bowl that I could use for all sorts of decorations and really added to that high-end coastal look. So for my third DIY, I want to share with you how I made these beautiful jute and marine cord balls, that decorative balls that you could use all year round as part of your coastal decor. To get started, you're going to need some foam balls that you can pick up in any discount store or craft store, some jute twine and some marine cord. Now you've got to be really quick with this one because it is the most easiest DIY. You're just going to lay down some hot glue and then you're literally going to twist your cord around and around and around the ball until it is completely covered, and that's it. Really, really simple, easy DIY. Do be careful not to burn yourself, however. I ended up turning my hot glue gun down onto a low temperature because I was handling the jute and the marine cord quite a fair bit and didn't want to burn myself. So there is my first ball done. And then with the second ball, I repeated the same process using the jute twine and went round and round and round until I covered the entire foam ball. And for my final coastal ball, I decided to start off with some white marine cord and then put a layer of jute cord in between, and then another layer of white marine cord in between. So I ended up with white jute, and finished it off with some white cord as well, just to jazz it up and make it a little bit more interesting and create a nice trio of decorative coastal balls that I can leave in my home all year round. Here are the final decorative balls, beautiful coastal decorations that you can use, nicely tied up with this gorgeous clamshell bowl. I really enjoyed making these DIYs for you this time. I hope you've enjoyed them too. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.